Victoria Police first commissioned the independent review because we had some very brave women coming forward internally within Victoria Police to tell the story of their own experiences, and hearing those experiences and the harrowing nature of them and the trauma that people were left with within this organisation simply because they work at Victoria Police was just unacceptable, and just compelled us to approach VERIOC for their expertise and support, because we thought, well, we can deal with these individual cases in terms of criminal conduct, and these cases were clearly in the criminal sphere, but we obviously had a bigger problem than that, and we needed to seek systemic change, and for that we needed expertise. And we had also the benefit through going to VERIOC of having independence associated with that expertise.
The Phase 1 report found that there were high rates of sex discrimination and sexual harassment across all parts of the organisation, and that there was an entrenched culture of everyday sexism. And that was having a really terrible impact not just on women in the organisation, but also men who had witnessed that sort of discrimination or who weren't able to support people in the workforce. We found that it was also affecting not just individuals, but also the organisation as a whole. Women weren't being retained in the way that they wanted to be kept at the organisation. They weren't progressing through the organisation in the way that they should have. And that was an acceptance that this was the way that things were. We know from the research that we've done and that other organisations have done that sexual harassment and sex discrimination cause really significant harm, not just to individuals, but to the organisation as a whole. So the organisation became very committed to changing that culture and to changing the structures and the systems that gave rise to that environment.
So as the most senior female officer in the organisation, how have I been impacted by the changes in this work? Well, firstly, on the day of the launch, I was particularly emotional about that launch and the work that had been undertaken. I actually cried on that day. I was so emotionally affected by the fact that we now had an evidence base. We had good recommendations to progress on behalf of the organisation, and we had an absolute commitment to doing something. So for me, it's been an emotional journey. I'm very committed to the issues, and I see substantial change that for me really highlights why the investment, the commitment and the work that we've undertaken has been so important. On a personal level, I have seen individuals where we've righted some wrongs for them. At a systems level, the changes are really substantial to make sure that we are a safer place for everybody that works here. And the work that we're doing that comes from this reform work really is central to actually also improving our practices and our responses to violence against women and children in the community. So it's important work to get our house in order to actually provide really good service deliveries. I've been really proud of actually everyone within command, how they've embraced the issues that were raised, how they've tried to make a difference and to show their personal commitment to the reform that we've undertaken.
I became Police Minister in 2016, and Victoria Police was on its first lot of the journey to really tackle the recommendations out of the VERIOC report. I think we all found that report shocking, even though probably we had a sense of some of the issues that Victoria Police had in terms of its behaviour and culture when it came to dealing with women in the police force. And I was also very pleased to see in this particular report that the parental backfill scheme that I was happy to support in terms of funding is making a real difference to how women are treated at the workplace when they are pregnant and need to take leave. I'm also pleased that we're getting the redress scheme up and running, and that'll be up and running in December of this year. So it's a joy for me to be part of an organisation that is leading the charge really across the public sector and really genuinely taking up the challenge of shifting its culture and shifting the behaviours that we've seen in the past. A lot of work to do, but I'm confident we're going to get there.
The
biggest impact on me has been as a manager and how I now look at things, and the different lens in which I see the workplace and how I now go about giving opportunities, whether at level or upgrading, and just being more aware of the systems in place, the processes, and then also sometimes the roadblocks that I know some members may put in that are either there or within their own minds as to things that they shouldn't or can't do because of gender, because of age and other barriers that they may put in front of them. People are actually now seeking people different to themselves, where I think we used to go a bit for like. Now I look at my team and I want diversity. If I don't have a diverse team, I'm definitely not a good leader.
I can see things changing. I can see that as a woman I have more opportunities, and especially as a mother, I'm able to work and have a really positive work-life balance without being detrimental to my career prospects. So the impact that the review has had on me and the changes that have made is that I'm able to work the hours that suit me, that help me to pick up the kids from school, that mean that I can be there on weekends and be there for them, as well as doing the job that I really enjoy.
I've gone from a situation where I was part-time for several years, back probably 5-6 years ago, and I felt I had to go part-time to be able to manage my family in terms of drop-off and pick-ups. I've got 3 school-aged children at the moment. And I felt that was the only way that I could balance that, whereas now I'm full-time, and as a result of the flexible rostering that's sort of within the organisation now and that culture being flexible for family life, I'm able to balance that out. Financially, it's been a huge change, as well as just spending time with the family and not missing out on those extracurricular activities.
When I had my children, it was before the review, and it was a terrifying conversation to tell my boss that I was pregnant, because I knew that although they'd be happy for me, it was going to be a massive imposition to the office, and everyone else would have to pick up my slack. I wouldn't be able to do the role I was previously doing, and I was going to take a year off, and that was huge. But now with the pregnancy backfill, the members aren't afraid to come forward and say, listen, I'm having a baby. It's much better, and I wish I had have had that when I was pregnant. We've got a member specifically at the moment her husband was a squad mate, and they're both working uniform. His roster sergeant and myself got together and worked out how we can try and make it work for their family life, limiting their childcare and making sure they can still be a family, which is something that was never done. It was never a consideration. It was you work what you're told and that's it. I notice that the women that I graduated with that are now looking for promotion are getting those jobs. They are having those opportunities. They are getting the secondments and things that would generally male orientated jobs, and now being seen that no, women can do that. And I think that helps also with the pregnancy backfill, because that's not going to impact those officers as well. They know that, okay, we're going to hire a woman who may have a baby, but it doesn't matter anymore. And I think that has changed the opportunities for women. We're appreciated, or maybe not appreciated a bit more, but recognise that we can do the job just as well.
I think the future of Victoria Police is going to be in great hands. I look at my members every day and I'm so proud of them. I have such a good station here at Brunswick, and that's because of the team I have. They make coming to work fun, and they also challenge me, which is what I love. They challenge each other, which is even better. And I look at my team and I know I've definitely got leaders that will be at the top of our organisation in years to come, and know that we're definitely in good hands and we've got nothing to worry about.
Equality matters at Victoria Police, because Victoria Police is made up of people, 21,000 people who have the right to come to work and be treated with equality and not be discriminated against for whatever reason. And so for us, it's incumbent upon Victoria Police to make sure that we provide that environment, and it is a fair and equitable place for all our employees.
The key reasons for us doing this work with VERIOC remain unchanged. We committed to addressing gender inequality, sexual harassment and discrimination in our workplace as a way not only of giving our female colleagues a fair go, in reducing the harm they encounter day to day in our workplace, but also more particularly to address gender inequality as the fundamental driver of violence against women and children in their homes and on our streets. And violence against women remains our single biggest policing challenge. 40 to 60% of all van crew attendances are driven by responding to family violence. And so if we in policing can get that gender inequality lies at the heart of sex discrimination and sexual harassment, we ought now be in a position to lead the community in calling for change. And if we can be an effective voice for change in our community, we'll absolutely turn around harm against women. And that's why we need to remain committed to this work, not only for the betterment of our own organisation, but also to better fit us to serve a community who needs our support.
If Victoria Police continues on this transformation, we will see a culture where every man and every woman feels safe and respected when they come to work, where they're able to fully be themselves at work. We will see a better representation of the Victorian community within Victoria Police, and that will make Victoria Police more capable in serving the Victorian community. We will see people feeling the ability to speak up confidently about treatment that they don't think is right. We will see an environment whereby people feel that they have an equality of opportunity that's not based on their gender or their background, but it's based on their ability to perform their role.
Well, now that the formal review process has ended, we intend to stay close to Verioc as a critical friend in this area. We've still got a long way to go. We've still got to remain dedicated to these issues for years ahead. And we need to, in doing that, remain close and in partnership really, in some ways with Verioc as we do that as well. But we realise in some senses that we're on our own. In this next part, we've got to take the leadership responsibility and own it. We know that, and I need to make sure that all staff of Victoria Police know that we are absolutely committed right through the leadership levels of this organisation to doing just that.